Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sister. It's news that's nightly about the Redskins. Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, there are a number of things that I want to address before we get to the main topic of discussion tonight, which is the Redskins taking on the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday Night Football. Obviously, the big storyline there, Kirk Cousins playing against his former mates for the first time since leaving the nation's capital. That's going to dominate the headlines, but I want to talk about some other things first. We'll get to Kirk, and Kirk had a soundbite, and I'll play that for you today at his presser. A lot less adversarial than the matchup we had last week against an ex-Redskins mate and ex-family member in Kyle Shanahan. Kirk, a lot more of what you expect. Kirk talks about his feelings, warm feelings of being drafted here, so forth and so forth. We'll get to that a little bit later on. But what I want to start with, and I'm going off on a tangent here, and I'll try to stop myself before I go out into left field somewhere or right field, okay? But in any event, I was watching a video on YouTube, and it was a Minnesota Vikings vid maker, and it's actually a really good channel. I enjoy his content, and he was talking about the win over the Lions, and he got excited, and he started counting victories, and one of the things that really frustrates me, and I talk about this all the time, is how Redskins fans are naive and they love to circle other teams on the calendar when the schedule is released and, oh, that's a win, that's a win. And I'm like, guys, you don't understand. You don't get it. We're not good enough to circle other teams on the calendar. As a matter of fact, we're the team on other teams' schedule that gets circled as a win. We are the marks on other teams' schedules. All right. When fans see the Redskins name show up on their team schedule, they look at that as a must-win situation. And you know what really frustrates me is I'm a realist, and I understand the situation. It doesn't make me accept it any better, but I do understand. And I was watching the channel, as I mentioned, and he started reeling off the rest of the schedule. And I know some of you out there as Redskins fans don't give one shit about anybody else in the division. You could care less about the Cowboys, Eagles, Giants. All you care about is the well-being of the Redskins, and you want them to do well. And I get that. That's totally fine, and I don't have a problem with that. But for me, I enjoy when this entire division is good. I enjoy when the Redskins are good, which hasn't been very often. The Cowboys are good. The Eagles are good. The Giants are good. Or some semblance of 3 out of the 4 teams, okay? I enjoy when the division is extremely competitive and nobody outside of the division gets to talk trash about the teams inside of the division or the division as a whole. I am one of the minority that have pride about the division. A lot of people just care about their team. They want to see, they laugh when the Cowboys do bad or the Eagles or the Giants, so forth and so forth. I want to see those teams fail just like the next man, but I also want to see them fail with a level of respectability that puts respect on the name of the entire division. So essentially what I'm saying to you is I want to see the Redskins prosper, not over a bottom-feeding division and they win 9 or 10 games, win the division, and they're division champs, they're NFC East champs, like we were in 2015 when the division stunk and the Redskins almost won the division by default, but they started playing much better football towards the end of that season. But the reason they were able to win that division is because it was there for the taking, because the rest of the division was absolutely horrid, okay? I don't want that for the NFC East. I don't want that for the Redskins. I want the Redskins to win the division at 12-4. Why? Because the Eagles were 11-5, the Cowboys were 10-6, and the Giants were 8-8. All right? Or the Cowboys were 11-5, the Giants were 11-5, and the Eagles were 9-7. All right? Or the Cowboys were 12-4 as well, but the Redskins won the season series over the Cowboys with a 2-game sweep, and the Eagles were 11-5, and the Giants were 7-9. I want the division to be respectable, though. And as I was watching that video, he said the entire NFC East stinks. And I would be upset if we didn't sweep that whole division. The Vikings already have beaten the Giants. They've already beaten the Eagles. They got the Redskins and the Cowboys left, and he fully expects the Redskins and Cowboys to be wins. Now, the Redskins, for sure. The Cowboys game, I'm not so sure about that one. That one's in Dallas as well. That could easily be a loss, but he sounded very confident. And it not only sucked that he was able to say that with such confidence that, yeah, that Redskins game, that's an easy win. Like, he didn't even pause. There was no mid-sentence thought. That was just, that was a gloss over. Yeah, Redskins, that's a win. We should win. We should sweep that whole division. I'll actually be pretty disappointed if we don't. And that's where we are as a division right now. That's where we are as a football team, more importantly. But it's just sad where we are. It breaks my heart to know that other teams look at us as food. And they expect to eat and eat well when it comes to playing the Redskins. And taking a step further, the NFC East. This division is the NFC least this season. If not for the Cowboys standing up for this division, they're the only team over 500, and they just got there by beating another team in the division in the Philadelphia Eagles. This division isn't very good this season. The Giants stink, the Redskins stink, and the Eagles aren't playing that good of football themselves either. And if you look at their 3 wins on the season, it hasn't been against good competition. The one team they beat with any merit was the Green Bay Packers. And if Devontae Adams doesn't get hurt in that game, they don't win that game either. So I'm said all of that to say this. The Redskins have, and this has happened a long time ago, and I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. There's been a long, hard fall from grace for the Redskins, but this division doesn't stand for what it once did. The NFC East used to stand for something. It used to stand for a level of toughness and grit. And if you were going to win against a team in the division, you were going to be in a dogfight, and you were going to know that it didn't come easy and it didn't come cheap. And there was no season sweeps. There was no complete sweep over the NFC East. The fact that someone feels comfortable enough to say that makes me sick to my stomach. The fact that when you see the NFC East on the schedule this year, you should be saying, damn, we got the NFC East. That's going to be rough. We'll be lucky to get out of there with a split. Teams, people, fans, the players, coaches, they all look at the NFC East and think, why can't we win every single game in that division? And I don't like that. I don't like it one bit. But I digress. Let's get to Kirk Cousins. And I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet on Kirk, because you guys already know how I feel about Kirk Cousins. He should still be here. All right? That's one of the biggest mistakes this organization has made, and in a long list of mistakes that have been made during the Dan Snyder era, that ranks up there pretty high for me, along with Marty Schottenheimer being fired and a number of other things that have taken place. Mike and Kyle Shanahan being ousted. There's a number of things. If I put together a list, Kirk Cousins not being the quarterback of the Washington Redskins and not being re-signed after the 2015 season ranks pretty damn high on the list of F-ups by this organization since Dan Snyder took over the team. But in typical Kirk Cousins fashion, as in a classy gesture, and what do you expect from Kirk? Nothing less. Anything less would be uncivilized from Kirk Cousins. He's a stand-up dude. He's a good guy. This is what he had to say about this matchup versus the Redskins. And it's a far cry from what we heard from Kyle Shanahan. And again, the 2 exits couldn't have been any more different. But nonetheless, here's what Kirk had to say regarding this matchup with the Redskins coming up on Thursday Night Football.
I was sitting around waiting for a phone call for 2.5 days, and I got a call from the Washington Redskins, and that'll be a memory I'll always have. I was given an opportunity to start when there weren't many people outside of that building who thought I should. They stuck by me when there was a stretch there. We were 2-4, and many people thought it should be over for me to be playing. And then we had that comeback game against the Buccaneers, and I yelled the words "you like that" and kind of never looked back. So I'm just so grateful. And I could list the names. If I list them, I'll probably leave somebody out. But there are some special coaches and teammates and people in that organization that I'll relate to the rest of my life. When football's long over, I'll still be calling them and texting them, and so that's just the simple truth.
So as you hear there, a nice gesture by Kirk Cousins to thank the Redskins organization for the opportunity. It was buttoned up. It was politically correct. Kirk's always been a politically correct guy. He will always be a politically correct guy. He'll always say the right things. That's what we expect from Kirk. But don't get it twisted, okay? Don't think for 1 second that behind the curtains, that in his mind, Kirk wants nothing more than to stick it to this organization and absolutely bury us on Thursday Night Football. Yep, he had some nice things to say there, and he talked about guys, and I listened to Brandon Sheriff and some of the other guys, Ryan Kerrigan. They said, look, our families are still tight. Our wives, Sheriff said, my wife is best friends with his wife, and Kerrigan said the same thing. And so, look, he's still friends with a lot of guys on the team, and their families are still friends with one another. But make no mistake about it, Kirk wants nothing more than to put a dagger in the heart of this franchise. And look, we're already down and out, but he'd love to deliver the absolute final knockout blow. All right. An embarrassing performance at 1-7 leaves no doubt on a primetime stage, leaves nothing but 3 days until the next NFL game of the media and all media types alike to rip the Redskins to shreds and just crucify this organization. We're already the laughing stock of the league, or one of them. And he has a chance to make it even worse. And I know he would love to do that. And he's playing exceptional football. And I'll just say this quickly because I don't want to harp on this because, again, we went through this whole song and dance for about a good 3-year stretch when he was under the franchise tag. And I wanted him back, and there were a number of you out there that wanted him back as well. And we all know his flaws, and we all know some of the things that he needed to work on. But bottom line is, Kirk should still be here, okay? Kirk Cousins should still be a member of the Washington Redskins. And if he were still, in fact, here, Jay Gruden would still be here. And I know some of you don't want anything to do with Jay Gruden. Well, let's face it. Jay Gruden knew how to coach up Kirk Cousins. And to me, if Kirk would have been here, this team that we're building right now, all right, we would have been further along in the process. Bruce Allen wants to talk about being close. We would have been legitimately close had Kirk Cousins still been here. Now, instead, we're teetering on the brink of pure devastation and annihilation because nobody really knows what the hell is going on. It's pure anarchy out in Redskins Park. Bruce Allen steps to the podium and puts on his face about this is a damn good culture and they love the direction of the program and this, that, and the third. Oh, shut the hell up. All right? Put a sock in it. To be honest with you, this program is going in the worst direction. And I've talked to a number of Redskins fans, and a lot of them say, look, this is rock bottom. And we've seen rock bottom before, but this is rock bottom. And I've shot down all notions of this being the lowest of the lows because as Redskins fans, if you've been a fan of this team for the last 10 years under Bruce Allen's regime, then we've hit some really rocky lows. I mean, obviously, after Jim Zorn, that was a pretty low point. I mean, that was the beginning of Bruce, and we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, but that was a pretty low point. All right, after Jim Zorn. We didn't think anyone would want to take this job, and then Mike Shanahan comes. And then the end of Shanahan and Robert Griffin III being on his last legs, that was a really down time in 2013 when Shanahan was on his way out, and we were on our way to a 4-12 record, and fans weren't showing up at the games, and it was bad, and there was a report every game the morning of someone ripping someone else in the organization, Mike letting out leaks to the press about Robert Griffin III, and it was tit for tat. It was bad, man. It was really bad, and we just saw our franchise quarterback that we thought was going to be the man for the next 10 to 15 years crumbling right before our eyes. It was a tough time, all right? We've hit some lows, and that was a really bad season. That was 3-13, all right? And to make it worse, we didn't have the first round pick from 3-13. That wasn't our pick. We gave that away to get Robert Griffin III. So It was pretty bad, man. And we were facing salary cap penalties. Okay, we've hit some pretty bad lows around here. It's been bad. All right? This is really bad because, and I don't think it's lower than some of the other low points, but it's pretty damn bad and it's really, really close. And beauty, or in this case, ugly, is in the eye of the beholder. Just how ugly is this situation? I can tell you this much. I've never seen the fan base this eroded before. Fans aren't showing up to games. Other teams' fans are infiltrating the stadium. We haven't run a home game in over a calendar year, okay? We have not won a home game, which has been road games. The Redskins haven't had a true home game since the last time we actually won a home game, which was against the Dallas Cowboys in week number, 7 last year? When we beat them on the clank, on the missed field goal at the very end of the game. That was at the last time we truly had a home field advantage. Probably, I take that back. The Texans game in which Alex Smith got his leg snapped, that was the week before some of the Redskins players called out the fans and said that we didn't have a home field advantage, and the fans showed up for that Texans game. It wasn't a packed house and it wasn't a sold out stadium, but there were way more Redskins fans than Texans fans. That was probably the last time we've had a true home game. I think the rest of the games that season were all infiltrated by the opponent's fans. And we haven't won a game since that Dallas game. And it's been an entire calendar year since we've won in FedEx Field. And it's been rough. But to go back to my original point, when I look at this organization, the reason it's so bad now is because the fan base has eroded to the point now where they're not showing up to games. A lot of fans don't even give a damn. There are more of us that care and that want to see this team do well, but there are a lot of fans out there that right now they're not watching, they could care less, and they're not coming back until Bruce is gone or till this team starts winning on a consistent basis. And as we all know, there's no better smelling deodorant than winning. You start winning ball games, and yeah, we might all want Bruce gone, but if we're winning football games, we'll all be on board for that. Because at the end of the day, we just want to win. We just want to win, and we really don't care how it gets done. We just want to win and stop being miserable. And right now, it doesn't look like there's an end in sight. And you're looking at the trading deadline, and teams are selling because they realize they don't have anything to play for this season. So what are you saving guys that can help other teams for? Get draft capital. You look at the Lions, they're only 2-3-1, and they're trading off assets. You look at the Denver Broncos, they're 1-6 on the season, or 2-5 on the season. They're trading away assets. And you look at the Atlanta Falcons, they're 1-6. They're trading away assets. Yet, here we are holding on to guys, not looking to explore options. The Browns are as desperate can get. I right now venture to say we could not only get a first from the Browns for Trent, I think we could probably get like a first and a third. They're that desperate in Cleveland right now. He's been calling, reportedly, he, as in GM John Dorsey, has been calling Bruce Allen every single day for the last 2 weeks. And Bruce refuses to even listen to what the man has to say. It is ridiculous how badly run this organization is at this very moment and current juncture. And the fact that we're not exploring options for Ryan Kerrigan and Paul Richardson and some of these guys that have value to some other teams that are looking to win, that have absolutely zero value to us right now in our current state, it's a farce, is what it is. It's a damn shame, but that's where we are. And games like Thursday are going to highlight that even more. We're going to leave this game on Thursday feeling even worse about our fandom and being Redskins fans. And I know that seems hard right now to believe, but there's nothing worse than a primetime ass whooping in front of everyone, getting embarrassed, getting your pants pulled down and pointed at, your shoes, coat, and your hat tooken, all right, and getting an old-fashioned, passionate ass whooping and getting your shoes, coat, and hat tooken in front of every damn body. And that's what's going to happen to us tomorrow night on Thursday Night Football. Everyone's going to be pointing. Everyone's going to be laughing, and we're going to feel even worse. It's going to be temporary. We've been here before. All right, this won't be the first, nor will it be the last ass whooping we take on primetime television, but it'll be the most recent. It'll be the freshest, and it'll make us feel like we did after the Bears game when we felt like absolute garbage. And so I'm not looking forward to this. And all of this could have been avoided if Kirk Cousins were still here. So I brought it all full circle. Let's get to what it's going to take for the Redskins to win this football game versus the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday night. Look, it's a long shot, man. Now, Adam Thielen, hooked on a Thielen. Adam Thielen is out of this game. Who could it be now? He's gone. So that's one less guy that we got to worry. And you remember the last time we played the Vikings? A few years back? Thielen came to D.C. and tore us a new asshole. He was the reason we lost to the Case Keenum-led Minnesota Vikings. Adam Thielen could not be stopped. But they still got Stephon Diggs. All right? And Diggs isn't even the worst part. They've got a guy, and I said this after week 2. When I watched Dalvin Cook after his week 2 performance versus Green Bay, because they were supposed to get blown out in that game. All right? The Packers jumped on them 21-0. Early stages of the second quarter. They were on their way to a brutal ass whooping at the hands of the Packers. And Dalvin Cook started running roughshod over that Packers defense. And I said, oh my God, if he stays healthy, he's going to be the NFL's leading rusher this year. He's going to win the rushing title. And he's done nothing to dissuade me to this point. Dalvin Cook, right now, for my money, pound for pound, the best running back in terms of running the football. All right. Not catching it out of the backfield, which he can do. Now, if you're talking all around, all purpose back, that's Christian McCaffrey, but if you're just talking about running the football, he's right up there with Ezekiel Elliott, and some of those guys that we view as elite dynamic runners, Alvin Kamara. But for me, Ezekiel Elliott is the best pure running back in between the tackles, get outside, use speed, forward lean, break tackles, run through contact, yards after contact, that sort of thing. Dalvin Cook is right there. And the way he's running the football, the offensive line, the job that they're doing in the run game has been magnificent this year. And it's been a big change from what they've done in the past. And Cook staying healthy has a lot to do with it. But some of the upgrades along the offensive line have also been huge in the Vikings' resurgence running the football. And because of the success they've had with Dalvin Cook, it's opened up what Kirk does best, the play action fake game. And that's why you've seen Kirk go off these last 3 games. It also helps that the opponents haven't been any good, and the defenses that they've played haven't been very good and have offered little to no resistance. Now, the Lions game was a true test because the Lions had been playing really good defense, and I actually expected the Lions to win that game, and they were in it. But the Vikings' offensive firepower was just too much, and that was actually a good Lions defense that they shredded in Detroit. And so that got me to thinking, if they can do that to Detroit's defense, what the hell are they going to do to our defense? So I have little confidence in the Redskins' ability to not only win this game, but even keep it respectable. This could go to Bears' first half territory in the first half. I mean, this thing could get ugly. Here's how the Redskins can stop it from getting ugly. Let's talk about some of the keys to the game. So for the Redskins, it really doesn't change from week to week, but it's even more imperative this week, sort of like last week. There's been probably like 3 games this season where you're like, look, if you want any chance, you got to stop the run. And you can say that about any game, but you're not worried about the Eagles running the football. So that's not going to be one of the biggest keys to the game. You're not really worried about the Bears running the football because that's not what they do. So you're not really worried about the Bears running the football. You would like to stop the run to make Mitchell Trubisky beat you, but it's not like you have to stop the run to win that game. This particular game, same thing with the Patriots. You don't have to stop the run to beat the New England Patriots. You'd like to, but you don't have to. And the Patriots decided to hell with the run in the first half. They just tried to throw it. But there are 3 games thus far we've had this season. Dallas, the game last week versus the 49ers, and this week's game, where if you want any chance to win, you better stop the run. You better stop the run. We didn't do it against Dallas. Ezekiel Elliott went over 100 yards. We lost that football game. We didn't do it last week against the 49ers. We actually did it early in the game, but late in this and into this Second half, really late stages of the third into the fourth, the Redskins had trouble stopping the run. All right, but they did a good enough job to give us a chance to win, and that's why we were in that ball game. They're going to need to do it again in week number 8. If they cannot stop the run consistently, and this is the problem with Dalvin Cook. Yep, you may bottle him up for the first quarter and a half, and he's getting 2, 1, none, -1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 2, 2, 1, 1, 0, and it feels like you're doing a great job, and then boom, 67, touchdown. Boom, 27. Big chunk play. And then they throw in another running back and Madison. And boom, he comes in 17. And then 2, 2, 4, 1, 1, 19. 22. 2, 1, 1, 1, 4, 7, 77. That's what they do to you. So if the Redskins don't consistently stop the run for 4 entire quarters, they're going to lose this football game, and it will not be close. Okay? The first thing you have to do when you play the Minnesota Vikings is stop the rushing attack, because then you make Kirk Cousins have to beat you, and he feels the pressure of a lack of a running game. Sometimes, not all the time, because as you know, here in Washington, there was no running game. Okay? There was no running game for him to lean on, and he did have to carry us at times, and he did carry us at times. So he's fully capable when he gets in the zone, and he's in a zone right now, that he can carry a team on his back without the aid of a run game. But he hasn't had to do that in Minnesota this season. And if we don't stop the run, he won't have to do it on Thursday either. And if that run game gets revved up, all of a sudden now, play action fake becomes a very viable option. And Stephon Diggs, they may not have Thielen, but they still got Stephon Diggs, and we know his ass can eat. All right? And you know what? I actually hope Josh Norman does not play this week. This will be a nice test for Fab Moreau on the outside. Okay? I dare them to try Dunny. All right? You be a damn fool to go to Dunny's side, because you want problems? If you want problems, try 23. But if you are smart, you just go to the other side, whether it's 24 or 31. It doesn't matter. That's where you attack. All right? Now, if they want to try L.A.B. Johnson on Quentin Dunbar, all right, Dunny, sick him. All right? But, because, Kirk may be thinking that it's the same Dunny. Same OD. No, this ain't the same Dunny that you left that was just converting from wide receiver to corner. It's a totally different dude, man. Totally different animal right now. So, I hope that the Redskins come prepared, lunch hat, or hard hat, lunch pail, thermos, all right, ready to go. Because they're going to have to put in a hard, long day's work to stop the run, because this Vikings team is relentless up front running the football. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't have confidence that for 4 quarters the Redskins are going to be able to stop the Vikings rushing attack. But you take it a step further, they've got weapons. Now, one of their biggest weapons in Adam Thielen is out, as I mentioned already. So that does help the Redskins really just focus in on Diggs. Again, I'm not afraid of L.A.B. Johnson. I am, though, afraid of Irv Smith, their rookie tight end. All right, and we've had trouble with tight ends over the years. Not so much this season. I think teams have really failed to take advantage of the tight end. But you saw what George Kittle did to our ass. Now, George Kittle is a different animal, and he's in a different level in a different stratosphere than Irv Smith as a rookie right now. So not as concerned, but he's athletic enough to really give us some problems. We'll see if the Vikings look there to try to take advantage of some things. But bottom line is they've got enough weaponry between Cook, Diggs, Irv Smith, and anybody else that they can throw in there. They've got enough weaponry to really do some damage if we're not careful. But it all starts up front for me. All right, Kirk's going to do whatever it is he's going to do, but it's going to be way worse if they're running the football, because then that 8th defender starts creeping into the box to be that help defender, and now it's one-on-one, and then all of a sudden Kirk's staring down the opposite side of the field, in which he's really going to come backside on that skinny post. And, yeah, you know what time it is, man. It's time for Stephon Diggs to dial one up. So I don't want to see that happen. Got to stop the run. That's going to be the most important thing that the Redskins can do in this game to give themselves a chance on the defensive side. Now, as you move to the offensive side, I don't have zero confidence. Whereas my confidence level for the defense is like 40% to stop the run consistently enough to give us a shot. My confidence level offensively is 0, as in how many points we scored last week. All right. I have no confidence in this team's ability to, one, run the football, especially with a compromised Adrian Peterson, who is going to try to play and probably get the nod, but not be as effective as he normally is. 2, I don't have any confidence in Case Keenum's ability to take care of the football. He's going to get hit in this game. The Vikings have a formidable pass rush. I think they're going to draw some holding penalties to put us behind the down and distance and the sticks. I think he's going to get beat, and he's going to either get sacked or he's going to make a mistake in this game, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, as we saw against the Chicago Bears. And so I think it's going to get ugly offensively for us. I don't know if they're going to get the football to Terry McLaurin enough, but I can tell you this much. The Vikings defense does not scare me. Problem is, we don't have the offense to take advantage of it, because remember when roads used to be closed? Man, they are running traffic straight through Xavier Roads, okay? All of those roads are open, okay? I don't mind driving down Highway 29. As a matter of fact, I tell you to put 17 on that side and let's drive through Road 29, okay? Now, on the other side is Trey Waynes. I'm not afraid of him either, okay? I'm not afraid of any of their corners. I actually like Mike Hughes, but hey, I'll take a shot at any of those guys. I'm not afraid of their defense. You can score on their defense. I've seen teams score on their defense this year. Hell, the Lions put up 30 last week. Should have scored more. However, we're not the Lions. We don't have Matthew Stafford, okay? We're not the Packers. We don't have Aaron Rodgers, all right? We're not the teams that have beaten the Vikings this season or given them a run for their money. And we don't have that type of offense. Now, we do have Terry McLaurin, but we got to still get him the football. I don't see that happening on a consistent enough basis to give us a shot. I think where we're going to struggle is in the trenches in this football game. Not necessarily running the football, but protecting Case Keenum. I think that's where we're going to struggle. I don't know if Case is going to get rid of the football, and this is where coaching comes into play. All right, if you have any doubts about your offensive line's ability to protect, and really if you want to keep the Vikings off balance, quick game, all right, screen game, things that get them thinking, things that keep them from pinning their ears back and coming after you, things that keep them on their heels, all right, or on their toes. They don't know what's coming. Can I go up the field confidently knowing that they're not about to drop a screen behind me? No, you're not sure, so you can't really be over-aggressive. And that's how you get to push the football down the field. Or you could just run it effectively, which I don't see the Redskins doing that either. But I can tell you this much. When it's all said and done, the Redskins are going to hang in this game, because this is what I believe this team has morphed into under Bill Callahan. They're gonna be in this game in the first half. I do not think this is going to be Chicago Bears-esque, where we show up and don't show up. All right, we show up to the game, but we don't actually show up once the game starts. I think we're actually going to show up for the first half, like we did against the Patriots, like we did against the 49ers, and like we did against the Dolphins. And really, the Dolphins, we weren't very good in the second half of the game outside of the first possession of the second half. But in any event, we're going to show up for the first half. It's going to be respectable in the first half. I don't anticipate the Redskins leading at any point of this game, okay? It seems like the Redskins are allergic to winning the toss so that we can defer. We've only done that once, and that was the Miami game. And we won. Look at that. But we rarely win the toss. So I don't anticipate us winning the toss and getting the football after half and deferring. However, I don't think we're going to be ahead at halftime, but I do think it's going to be close at halftime. I do think it's going to be 13-3 at halftime. All right. And then the Vikings explode in the second half for 21 points, run away with this game, and the Vikings get the win 34-13. All right. So I think the Redskins are going to hang tough in the first half. They're going to compete their asses off, and then the wheels are going to come off in the second half, as they generally do with this football team. All right. The 49ers had 73 yards of total offense in the first half. They proceeded to then have 208 yards of total offense in the second half of that football game. So for as good as we were in the first half versus the 49ers, we were equally as bad, especially when we needed stops late in the game. All right, again, I'm not beating up the defense for that performance last week. I don't care what they did in the second half. You give up 9 points and 300 yards or less of total offense and create a turnover, which your offense promptly goes 3 and out and goes backwards with, I'm not going to beat you up. You're not the problem. So that's what I think is going to happen in this game. Kirk's going to go over 300 yards yet again. We may get Kirk for a turnover, though. Okay, I think we could get Kirk for an interception in this game. It wouldn't shock me if we did. Dalvin Cook will eclipse 100 yards in this football game, and he will continue his tear through the NFL en route to what I think is going to be a rushing title in 2019. So that is my prediction for the upcoming game, and that's also going to do it for the Redskins Nightly News. Keep in mind, no Redskins Nightly News tomorrow as we are playing on Thursday Night Football. There will also be no R3. Keep in mind, we are playing on a primetime platform, so there will be an overtime. Thursday Night Football overtime will be where you will see the breakdown for this game. I will let you know right now. I will give you a brief synopsis of what I thought happened in the game, and that will be followed by me opening up the phone line. So if you're a Redskins fan, you're a Vikings fan, and you want to talk about this game, phone lines will be open. Feel free to either vent or talk about how excited you are about your team. Whatever the case may be, we'll be here to chop it up tomorrow at the conclusion of Vikings Redskins. Hopefully we don't embarrass ourselves and wet the bed. Hopefully we are respectable, have a good showing. It'd be nice to win. Don't anticipate that happening, but I just want the Redskins to not embarrass themselves. I've asked several Vikings fans if the team could take it easy on us, and I've got the confirmation from many of them that they don't mind making this a respectable contest as long as we never threaten to win. I pretty much said that sounds good by me. So as long as we don't threaten to try to win in the second half of the game, they promised that they would allow this thing to be respectable. 34-13 is not respectable, by the way. That is an ass whooping. I don't want that to happen. That's what I'm predicting will happen. So we'll see what happens in this football game. Nonetheless, I am your man, Louie T, signing off. Remember, we've got skin in the game. Why? Because we're Skins fans for life. And if you haven't already done so, like the video, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content in 2019 and into the future. So that's going to do it for this installment of the Redskins Nightly News. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Take care.
Louie T Network.